All right, welcome everyone to Frank Analysis. I'm your host, Franco. I've discussed on this show before about people who've influenced me to be a truth teller. And Jimmy Dore is one of those people. He's probably one of the biggest voices out there out of all those people that have influenced me. He has influenced me to be a right wing grifter since I criticized the AOC and the squad, right? So, really, Jimmy, it's an honor to have you on. How are you?
Well, thank you very much. It's a real pleasure. I found your show a couple months ago. I listen to it all the time. And it's, again, you're good at framing things, right? I think that's the important thing. A lot of times that's what's wrong with corporate news or a lot of other news channels is that they just don't frame things correctly. And so that's what people need. But anyway, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you. That means a lot coming from you. So I want to start out with this since this happened last night, right after your show. AOC, unsurprisingly, started gaslighting for the Democratic Party again, gaslighting for the imperialistic Biden administration. So I want to get your quick thoughts on this. I'm going to play the video, and then I can get your thoughts.
One thing that I will say is that I do think that the Biden administration and President Biden has definitely exceeded expectations that progressives had. I'll be frank, I think a lot of us expected a much more conservative administration. And I think that not only what has ultimately come out, but the active invitation and willingness and collaboration with progressives in his first 100 days, or almost 100 days, has been very impressive. And so while there are areas where there are just plain areas of disagreement, I think that the actual conduct of the administration has absolutely been in good faith, but not just in good faith, but active incorporation of progressive legislation, and also for those of us individually. I can at least say that there has been a lot of openness and willingness and flexibility in incorporating many of our goals, requests, demands, etc. And I think that it has been to the benefit of the country.
Oh my God. Here's where she's not lying. She said definitely exceeded expectations, but exceeding expectations in serving not us, the people, but serving the establishment, serving the corporations. But yeah, let's hear from you, Jimmy. What are your thoughts?
Uh, I guess that's the new game plan now, that people are going to pretend that Joe Biden's better than we cannot. He ran on a public option, $15 minimum wage. He won't even do that. The things that he said he wanted to do, he won't even do. So this idea that he's been better than he expected, he's been worse than he said he was going to be. I mean, and again, they're giving hundreds of billions of dollars to the health insurance industry instead of giving people real Medicare. That's the plan. They're not even, by the way, they're not even doing the pharmaceutical overhaul. They're not even doing that. That Nancy Pelosi said she wanted to do, and Biden said that they're not doing anything. Mm-mm. So again, this is, what AOC said 2 years ago was true, that or a year ago, which is the Democratic Party is a right-wing party. It's a center-right party, and you're seeing it. And I mean, again, remember, Joe Biden is to the right of most right-wing politicians in Europe. They're all for Medicare for all. None of them would be against it. Joe Biden just increased the military budget by $20 billion. There was no talks about it, no town halls, no op-eds, no debates, no grassroots organizing, no organizing whatsoever. They got $20 billion to the military-industrial complex, and he didn't. Instead of relieving $20 billion in student debt, they're not doing anything. And so, as Glenn Greenwald says, this is what he says about this today, which I thought was pretty good. He said, this reflects the reality that while much of the Bernie left and establishment Democrats were at war from 2015 to 2019, they have been steadily moving closer together, and especially with the culture war taking center stage, the differences are rapidly diminishing. The Biden administration still maintains what AOC called concentration camps during the Trump years, and they're worse than ever. They bomb Syria and are pursuing confrontation with Russia and doing as little for Palestinians as ever. But AOC is here to say, looking good.
We don't have anybody there right now that's serving us. If in a way, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, in a way, if she's doing this, if she's defending the Biden administration, isn't she defending the corporations? And I want to pull this up because I know you have contact with Ro Khanna. He's been on your show before. Props to him for coming on your show. But I mean, I don't. People need to remember this. This was from last year, but I want to remind people. This was reported by Robbie Yeager, who's from the MCSC network, and he said, according to financial disclosures, Representative Ro Khanna's many portfolios, and then this was later revealed to be his wife's actually, portfolios reflect numerous purchases of Pfizer, $87,000 to $430,000, and DuPont, $23,000 to $170,000, as well as multiple sales of Caesars Entertainment stock, with transactions beginning around February 24th. Insider trading. This is what we saw, what Nancy Pelosi did just a couple of weeks ago when we reported on this. When you reported on your show, I reported on my show also. And so he says, Robbie says, let's talk about Ro Khanna. In 2019, he has received $14,000 from Greylock Partners, making them his fourth largest donor. Greylock is a Silicon Valley investment firm with global stakes. They even had an Israel branch, which was rebranded in 2015. There's this whole article here that we can get into, but just initially from what I just said here, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's as Chris Hedges says, they do it right out in the open now. They lie, cheat, and steal right out in the open. There's not. I mean, Barack Obama's first appearance back into public life was to do a series of $500,000 speeches for equity firms, and it's amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just, for Wall Street, it's just. And no one gives a shit. And then when even our show or people like us tried to hold Barack Obama accountable for that kind of shit, you had guys like Trevor Noah giving him a passport on identity politics. Whoa, and that's a black guy doing it now, so it's okay. And then, which leads to the joke I like to repeat on my show. It's like if this was 1860, the Democrats would be bragging about their first transgendered slave owner. I mean, this is where we're at with the Democratic Party. This is what's happening.
And this is these are our most progressive candidates. These are our most progressive representatives.
And so Joe Manchin goes to Washington and he does everything he can to get his agenda implemented, including putting a hold on a bill. Bernie acts like he's working for Joe Biden instead of being an independent senator from Vermont who promised to push him left at every can. He's got real power because he's got the chairman of the budget committee, and he's not doing anything. He's not doing anything. Nothing. He's never put a hold on a bill, never done anything. And people got. I mean, it doesn't do me. People. It doesn't do me any favor. It doesn't help my show to be the first one to call out Bernie Sanders' fuckery. That didn't boost my numbers. In fact, half my audience turned on me. They got mad at me, right? And but people close to me said, "Don't worry, they'll come back," and they do. But it doesn't bring me any joy to tell people about the fuckery that Bernie Sanders and the Democrats and the squad did on the CARES Act. Like nobody else would do that. Everybody was pretending Bernie Sanders' speech, which was a grandstanding speech, actually got us the unemployment insurance. It didn't. That was written by Michael Bennet. It was already guaranteed in the bill. It was already going to pass. He did nothing. And so what a Joe Manchin would do in that situation would say, hey, whoa, I'm putting a hold on this bill until we get some real relief in it for the people. And until then, I'm going to raise everybody's consciousness about what's happening. This is the largest upward transfer of wealth in the history of humankind. And they did nothing. And I was the only one calling this shit out at the top of my lungs, and people got upset about it. Well, so now everybody's coming around to, oh, Bernie's turning into a regular shit lib. Oh, it turns out he is just sheepdogging people into a pro-war Wall Street party without any pushback whatsoever. He gets nothing to his movement is gone. He threw it away. He's not asking them to get in the streets to do anything. He's not asking them to put pressure on anybody to do anything. He's like, he comes out and he does PR for Joe Biden, and they're never stopping. They're just what AOC just did. I'd rather go back to just doing regular comedy than being proven to be a fucking political sage. But again, it doesn't take smarts to do this. It takes courage. So I had the courage to tell people what was happening in the CARES Act, and I had the courage to tell people what the Justice Democrats were really about and what was actually happening. And now everybody else is now the Young Turks are starting to tell you what's really happening. They're only about 5 months too late. After the moment is passed for them to do something, now the Young Turks are upset. Now they want to fight. Well, the moment's passed, isn't it? And so now when it's safe to say this stuff, now everyone else is coming around to say it. It doesn't take smarts. Any idiot could see it. I saw it. It just takes the courage to say it.
And where AOC is at right now, the reason for that is because there are a lot of people who are defending her, and she knows she can get away with it. There's so many independent, well, quote unquote independent, because we know some of them have MSNBC contracts and some of them receive monies from billionaires, people that are defending her. She knows she can get away with this. Right.
That's right.
So
exactly right. She's got, it's nothing but a cult of personality.